763. Now, your host for Public Pulse, Floyd Whiting.
Good morning and welcome to Public Pulse. Now, the first day of spring is only 5 days away. With the improving weather, we will all begin to wander outside a little bit more, and organizations and businesses will begin to hold events and gatherings. And joining me this morning are the Chief of the Sheridan Police Department, Travis Koltiska, and Lieutenant Dan Keller. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome back to the show.
Morning, Floyd. Thanks for having us.
It's always good seeing you guys. I do like the weather right now. I heard it's going to remind us that we're not there yet a little later.
I say you must have made this script yesterday when it was 50 degrees, because I don't see spring approaching, Floyd. I don't know where you're going with this.
It's there, sir. I promise you. He's just hiding really good.
Yeah, I'm pretty skeptical right now.
It has been a bitter winter, hasn't it?
It sure has. It's I wrote on this on a community perspective. This is like what I hear common in the community is this is a winter we remember. Mm-hmm. I was just talking to some family friends down in Claremont area, and his grandfather's ranch down there since the 40s, and said he's never seen this much snow remain for an entire winter.
Wow.
Down in that country too, which it needed it. It's been, this whole country's needed it. It's, at least we hopefully won't be dealing with droughty issues and wildfires and that. Although grasses grow, there's lots of fuel, but yeah, it's been a good winter, that's for sure.
One thing is getting us prepared for that melt-off. I think that's going to be a big focus as we get into the spring, getting ready for everything that's on the mountain right now to end up in the valley in only a month's time. And it always amazes me every year at how much that actually is. How have things been down at the department, Chief?
Really good. We've been very busy. We just released our 2022 annual report, which is on our website. We had another record year. Last 2021, we had the most calls for service we'd ever had until 2022.
Wow.
One of the issues that I think everyone across most employers are experiencing is issues with finding individuals to want to get into the profession. Fortunately, we do have a nice program I'll let everybody know about. Today at 4 o'clock, we're swearing in our second reserve police officer.
That's fantastic.
Lieutenant Keller came up with a program. Well, it's been 6-8 months ago now, probably when he first started pitching it, of an ability for individuals who don't have the capacity or the desire to do full-time law enforcement, but have the abilities to become certified law enforcement officers, to work in the exact same role as a sworn full-time officer to help supplement and augment any shortages in staffing that we have. So we, Officer Megan Phillips, who was a sworn officer with us for over 3 years, had come back in a reserve capacity, and then a gentleman named John Mahalik will be sworn in at 4 o'clock today as a reserve officer. And John comes with a lot of experience. He was a 23-year Las Vegas Metro police officer, retired up here where his wife has family. We're very excited about this program. We're excited about Megan and John coming and helping out down on the street. So that's a very good thing we have going on. So that's helping a little bit. But no, things are growing great. I know we're ready for the melt too, because accidents have been up obviously with road conditions, and just very busy, but very good.
Yeah, a lot of fender benders out there, or a little worse. Is it
actually the last? I kind of review that stuff in 2-month cycles. That's just how our patrol shifts cycle through days and nights. That's how I look at the data. And accidents actually through these last storms were right on average for the year, which is pretty remarkable. So kudos to all the citizens of Sheridan for driving really well and slowing down when roads are icy. Sheridan, I've looked at, compared to state numbers, we're at average or lower for accidents per 1,000. And so the drivers here do a really good job, and we appreciate them partnering with us on that.
LT, you're kind of the man behind the big reservist program, which is fantastic. It's a great program. How do you feel about it now? You've got 2 officers getting ready to get sworn in. How do you feel about your program as I wouldn't say that we're well into it, but it's developing officers.
I feel fantastic about it. And to be clear, it's definitely the chief of the department's program. I just kind of had an idea, and as a team, we ran with it. But that said, yeah, it's taking off better than we thought even. It was kind of icing on the cake. If we could find some qualified, properly motivated people that wanted it. It's totally volunteer position. They don't get paid anything. So if we found people that would do this, great. And if we don't, it doesn't cost us anything. And right off the bat, we found two great people. Like Chief said, one's a young lady who had been an officer with us, and just for raising a young family, the shift work wasn't working out, but she's still passionate about police work. And she's probably to blame for the program work because she keeps always beating on my door. Is there something I can do? So she's excited to, on her own time, throw the uniform on and come help out.
That's great.
And then, with this other, Mr. Mahalik, we're swearing in today, just a highly motivated guy and very decorated officer. He'd done everything from patrol work to being a detective on the organized crime bureau in Las Vegas.
Whoa.
He relocates to Sheridan and just learned about this program, and he says, at this point in my life, he doesn't have a desire to be in a patrol car for 12 hours a day, but he misses the camaraderie and just really driven by a sense of, I've got this knowledge and I want to give back to this. He really loves Sheridan, just wants to give back. So he's excited to be part of the team.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome.
2 gems came out of that basket. First off,
Yeah.
I think that's great.
And it's this program too. We do not lax on standards. So the same hiring standards for full-time apply to the reserve. They go through the exact same testing process, through the same backgrounds. It's a very extensive process to even get on as a reserve. So we ensure that regardless of whether our citizens are speaking to a reserve officer or I call them full-time, they're all sworn. They all have the same training. They're hired under the same standards. Everything is the same in that respect.
Now, LT, if somebody is interested in joining this program, who do they contact? What should they do?
They can contact Human Resources directly and just fill out an application for peace officer, and just note reserve somewhere on that application. And if they have specific questions, they can certainly call and ask and visit with me, and I can give them details about the program and requirements.
Fantastic. Now with spring comes pothole season, and there's been a few around town.
Yeah, there have been, and with the freezing and the melting, that just causes greater damages to our roadways. And one thing that we're asking the community that if they have the opportunity, there's the Sheridan has an application on their phone called Connect Sheridan, and this application they can report potholes and these service requests. It's an app they can download. Obviously, don't do it while you're driving, but you see a big pothole, pull over. You can enter a service request. You go under service requests, enter a service request. It'll let you geolocate. Basically, there's a map that shows exactly where that pothole is at, and the app's pretty easy to navigate. And those service requests go straight to our streets department. And what they're doing right now is, because obviously we can't do any pothole repairs now, but when the snow's gone, that's one of their priorities, to get out there and patch these potholes and fix these roadways that are experiencing degradation due to the weather. I mean, let's face it, it's 100% due to the weather. Yeah. In this situation, and so any citizens that are able to do that, like I said, Connect Sheridan. It's an easy app, and you can enter a variety of service requests on there, but one particular that the city's asking for the community's help on is pothole issues.
Pothole identification. I think that's fantastic. Because I think usually in the past, City Works had to drive around and just kind of find them as they went.
Absolutely.
So I think this is a great program. You can download that app. I'll get a link to that application up online today. And it is the weather, folks. They can't go out and repair potholes until the freezing is done. Unfortunately, we all just kind of have to live with it until that time. Otherwise, what you accomplish is gone in a matter of days.
Absolutely.
Now, another thing that is coming with the spring and as we go into the summer, and a great use for our reserve officers, events. Events are right around the corner. Everyone's kind of looking forward to getting outside, I think. After 2 years of COVID and everyone staying in as much as they can, I think everyone's tolerance for remaining in the house has kind of peaked out. So we're all looking forward to getting out there. Now, Chief, how many people have begun their planning process that you know of?
We've had some informal discussions with a couple entities that are interested in potentially some. Has not been a great influx at this time, but we kind of know around here that some of the ones that are going to happen year in, year out, there's going to be events surrounding the Wild Rodeo. So we've had some informal conversations with some of the establishments regarding some of the plans that they have are entertaining, some ideas they're entertaining to have some events. Third Thursdays are going to happen. Farmers markets are going to happen. We know that those type of things are going to occur. A lot of them, the good thing is, we've worked with them over the years for different entities. So a lot of them are kind of cookie cutter. I don't want to call them cookie cutter, but in essence they are. We can use last year's plans to kind of help create a plan for this year. Now, Main Street Construction is going to throw a wrinkle in some of those plans. So they may have to come up with alternates, but rest assured it's a great opportunity for some economic development within the city, great opportunity for business owners, community to derive some extra income. It's great for the community to get out and socialize. Like you said, I think combination of COVID and a brutal winter, there's a lot of cabin fever going on. And we want to make sure that the people that attend these, that it's a safe event for everyone. It's safe for the people that are hosting the events. It's safe for those that attend the events. And that's that is the responsibility of the Sheridan Police Department, is to help them establish and look at what is safe and what is not. Is a plan that they're putting in place have a potential to have a dire effects and safety consequences? That's what we look at.
Now, when it comes to planning an event, usually people want to get something done. They have, an agenda of some sort, whether it be to deliver a message or just showcase a bunch of the great, things that people make at the house, such as the farmer's market. But there's permits required for just about everything when it comes to operating something as large as that. What permits do organizers have to attain that you know of, Chief?
Well, first off, if they're going to close a street or a sidewalk, they need to request for a closure permit. And these can all be, so you can have events that have multiple requirements. So if they're going to serve alcohol, there are restrictions on whether it's a malt beverage permit or whether it's a catering permit, which catering, people think of food, but usually catering permits are required for the service of alcohol, hard alcohol or wine. So those permits are required, if it's going to have an adverse impact or potential adverse impact to surrounding areas, like say it's a downtown event, maybe an entity wants to close the street for a short period of time. They need to ensure that that's not going to have an adverse effect to the other businesses surrounding that closure. Obviously, if it's a liquor establishment that is serving outside of their dispensing room, they're required to get a catering permit so that allows them to serve in a different area. So those are two of them that are required that I can think of. Mobile vendors require an annual permit.
I think just a general rule of thumb, if there's any chance it's going to affect your neighbor via noise levels, alcohol service, travel, anything like that, then you should look into see if you need a permit or not.
And we're going to talk a couple more details on those permits when we come back. More with the Sheridan Police Department when we return. This is Public Pulse on 930 KROE, 103.9 FM. Sheridan.
First Federal Bank and Trust would like to recognize this week's winner of $1,000 cash and a $1,000 marketing donation match from Sheridan Media. As part of their community commitment, LifeLink of Sheridan County is receiving these funds per random drawing.
Could your organization be next? We're giving $1,000 to a qualified nonprofit organization every week. Visit our website efirstfederal.bank for details. First Federal Bank and Trust and Sheridan Media present Community Commitment. Member FDIC.
It's been a year that we've been talking about Sheridan Honda and Power Sports.
Wow, a year went by fast.
Agree. And in honor of our 1-year anniversary, we're offering a 2-for-1 special on service. Get your power sport and vehicle service at the same time, and we'll give you 15% off the total bill.
Does it have to be a Honda or Can-Am?
Nope. Our skilled technicians can service all makes and models. Call Manny or Kayla to get scheduled today.
For 15% off your service, call Sheridan Honda and Power Sports today.
Delicious McDonald's deals are now more fun, more accessible, and better than ever through the McDonald's mobile app. The app is now the only place you can earn My McDonald's reward points on every McDelivery order. Plus, you can get those free McDonald's rewards you earn delivered too. Just order, relax, and enjoy. McDonald's will bring your faves to you. Just go to the Google Play or Apple App Store and download the new McDonald's mobile app and start saving. Download it now. McDonald's, Sheridan, Buffalo, and Gillette.
You know, there's a lot of different kinds of springs. There's the kind that you wind up tighter than 2 coats of paint. There's the ones you pull apart and they spring back, and there's the kind you push together and they bounce back. And there's the kind of spring that is time to get your 4x4 side-by-side tuned up for the year. Just call Hando's and Joe will spring into action. Heck, he'll even come and get it. Tune it up, fix it up, even rev it up. 4x4 spring tune-ups at Hando's Service Center on Sheridan's Heartland Drive.
A group that's been captivating global audiences since 1973, San Jose Taiko takes the WYO Theater stage Tuesday, March 21st at 7 p.m. Inspired by traditional Japanese drumming, company performers express the beauty of human spirit through the voice of the taiko, creating a vibrant, contemporary art form which connects people through cultural understanding and creative expression. Tickets are available now through the WYO box office or online at wyotheater.com.
This week on the Weekend Sports Wrap podcast, it's that time of year, you know, that big tournament that happens in the third month of the year. I can't say the name of it for legal reasons, but you guys know what I'm talking about. We get a preview of that tournament. We talk about the biggest upsets that I predict. That'll almost certainly be wrong. And then I give my Ultimis Cuatro picks. You guys know what I'm talking about. That takes up most of the show, and then I go on a rant about baseball uniforms for like the last 20 minutes. So check it out. The Weekend Sports Wrap podcast on SheridanMedia.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning and welcome back to Public Pulse, proudly brought to you by our friends out there at First Federal Bank and Trust. I'm Floyd Whiting. This morning, I am speaking with the chief of the Sheridan Police Department, Travis Koltiska, and Lieutenant Dan Keller. Now, our topic this morning is events planning. Events are good for the communities of Sheridan County, among a myriad of other reasons, such as supporting great causes and organizations. Events bring in revenue. They really showcase our city for what it is. In the first part, we spoke on the needed permits that you have to grab before you execute an event. And I would actually say, what are the first steps an event holder should take, Chief? You've been a part of this planning process for years. And when someone thinks, I would like to hold a farmer's market or maybe even have a march for a cause, what do I need to look at? What's the first step that I should do?
First step would be reach out to customer service at City Hall and tell them what kind of permit you want to, or what kind of event you want to have. And they're very knowledgeable at customer service. Those are the ones that help you fill out the application, the permit information and details to send it through for approval. So that'd be the first order of business. And the things that they're going to ask is, like we talked about just in an earlier segment, is alcohol going to be served? Is food going to be served? Are you requiring a closure or requesting a closure of a street or a sidewalk that's going to impact the traveling public, correct? Or any businesses around the area. Those, and then customer service at City Hall can really direct you to the type of permit that you need to request. We also, we are more than happy to answer questions at the police department on, depending on if it's an event that's going to involve a large crowd, a concert, when there's violations, like the lieutenant said, when it could potentially go after hours where there's going to be a noise, where there's going to be alcohol service. Those sort of things, more than happy to answer questions at the police department about that, because we are part of the approval process. And if you submit an application, you may receive a call from either Lieutenant Keller or Captain Ringley, who are kind of instrumental in the permit process at this point now, getting clarification on or if there's things that are missing. Should you have security? But customer service, the nuances of the details, like a lot of permits require, if it's going to be a street closure, they require an insurance bond. Or an indemnification, because you're essentially leasing a public space for your private event or your event, and so you're assuming liability and responsibility for what goes on inside there. So
someone throws a brick from the street into a window, someone's got to pay for that,
right? So that's what the purpose of the insurance bond is, to take some liability off the city for for that. So those are the sort of things, but customer service can help answer all those questions, and we're more than happy to do that as well.
Now, sir, we talk about needing a permit. Some people out there might be thinking, well, I already have a liquor license. Why the heck do I have to have a permit to hold an event right outside my door? What's the purpose of the alcohol permit? I would just ask, what's the reasoning behind it?
Yeah, again, it just comes back to how it could potentially affect your neighbors, right? And if you're serving alcohol where it's not designated, the license they hold has limitations to a serving space. And it's typically set up where all these best practices for serving can take place. So if it's going beyond that, just the likelihood of it affecting other people increases a lot. And we just want to, we're representing the city as a whole, and we want to make sure all 20,000 people aren't affected adversely by anything. We want to make sure all best practices are in place. So it's just partnering with the people doing the event to make sure they're putting on a safe event that's going to make them money and not affect their neighbors adversely.
Now, when someone comes in and they apply for one of these permits, and is one of the first thoughts that go through your mind, how are we going to keep minors from drinking?
Depending on the event, it can be, and just so the listening public knows too, when you say they come in, they don't come into the police department to get these permits. This is something they go to City Hall to do. Then it'll come across our desk for our recommendations. Best practices, the larger the event, we want to make sure we're going to make sure they have something to identify minors, if minors are allowed, and know what steps they're taking to make sure people are being ID'd. All those best practices, yeah.
And a lot of those are dealing with things like, that's why we have to wear a bracelet when we go into this area.
Sure.
Or something like that, right?
Yeah, a lot of these events require minors to get, we require large X's in indelible ink on back of both hands of a minor so that a server can instantly or at least attempt to make that, if there's a check-in, check-out point, like an entry point into this event, whether it's indoor or outdoor, and they have somebody that's IDing at that door, that is providing wristbands for those over 21, or also marking the hands of those that are under 21 to make it easy on the servers that are actually pouring the alcohol to do a quick identification. So that's part of, the tips that we offer at the police department, tips training. There's a vendor tips for both alcohol service as well as what's it called? It's called a vendor tips. It's something along those lines. It's more geared towards the outdoor events, the farmers market, farmers markets, the third Thursdays, those kind of things. So there's tip certification, and those provide information to servers just on what those best practices in alcohol service are, how to properly identify individuals, how to recognize proper identification, and as much as anything, empowerment to say, no, I don't believe you're 21, and notify us. And if there's somebody's attempting to buy alcohol, it should not be. So.
At what point do you think security needs to come into play on one of these applications? So what I'm saying is, if someone doesn't know that I need security, but you look at an application and you're like, nope, this one's going to require it, that one wouldn't. Is it based on the number of estimated individuals attending the event?
It can be. I don't think there's been a specific time where we've told people they need to get security. We'll basically tell them, here's what the outcomes need to be. You need to be having this event safe. You need to be following these best practices. And however you need to do those outcomes. And they'll make that connection themselves. But for us to have those outcomes, we probably need security. We need to hire people to work in the gates and check professionals checking the IDs and things like that. But we try, and it can be a balancing act, certainly. We try not to run events for people. That's not a business we want to be in. We just want to make sure they're aware and on the same page with best practices. They can figure out how to do that on their own. Which kind of leads into, what assistance does the city provide?
Yeah.
We have seen in the past some misconceptions when people want to do an event and they assume that we're going to run the event for them or we're going to do the security. We're glad to help when possible. We do have limited resources and we're answering calls for 20,000 people and we can't dedicate people to that event. So whatever that they need, they're responsible to provide for manning and things like that.
Now, when it comes to applying for one of these permits, Chief, are there issues that I should know that may come up? What should I go down there with? And I know that's more of a bureaucratic question than a law enforcement question, but is there anything right off the top of your head that you could think, make sure that you've got this duck in a row and that duck in a row?
No, there's not requirements for like identification or any of that sort of thing. So the only things that, and a lot of them are already in place by these event holders who have had these events over the years, is the proof of the liability insurance or the insurance bond, depending on if that's a requirement. And if there's a closure of a street, that's going to be a requirement. So other than that, we don't require well, no, it's not even require proof of tip service, because that's something that we can check during the event if we decide we need to, because there's been a problem. Yeah. We don't go in the middle of a well-run event and start checking tips certifications. But if it's something could come after the fact, then we need to make sure that the employees are properly trained and following the city ordinance, because city ordinance does require that the employees of alcohol that are going to serve alcohol receive tip training within 90 days of employment. So we want to ensure that those are taken care of. But no, they don't. Just have a good operational plan. Know well in advance what you want to do, what activities are going to be surrounding it, and so that you can properly identify that. Have your main point of contact information, and if there's security is asked on the permit. It's just kind of one that may not apply to every event, but may be necessary for if that's what's determined. So make sure you have your security point of contact and that information ready and available.
Now, when it comes to the timing of these, I think it's probably easy to say that the sooner the better when it comes to planning these events, because you never know what kind of issue might pop up as you try to get this thing done. Now, how does the Sheridan Police Department actually facilitate public safety during the larger events, such as the Rodeo Week? Because, we've got tens of thousands of individuals who stop in.
Yeah, we alter scheduling for the whole department to make sure we have, even without that, as you know, we're the only law enforcement agency within 100 miles that offers 24/7 law enforcement. So we alter schedules to have more people working. We'll bring in outside help. Sometimes we'll bring in officers. Last couple of years from Gillette just to double up our cars. We're a huge proponent of take care of little issues before they become big issues. So we really believe officer presence. If we do lots of that, hopefully that'll prevent small crime issues, and we zero tolerance for small crime issues on those big events, and hopefully those will prevent big problems. I can remember when I first got here, working here 15 years ago, the Rodeo Week was pretty. Yeah, I remember guns being fired. I remember cleaning up passed out people in the porta potties in the morning. Sexual assaults. It was just, I can't remember how many MIP tickets we would write. It was
in the 40s.
Yeah. So we've really tried to encourage event holders to be more responsible, and they've actually really changed the event a lot and made it much more family friendly, so to speak, a little more something we can be proud of as a community. Because, like I said, we don't want to run the event. We're not party planners. People can do their own events,
but you don't want to pick up after the event either.
Exactly, but we are the police are the people, right? We represent the community, and there's nobody in this community that wants to step over passed out people on their way to work, have their kids walking through piles of puke or anything like that.
Yeah.
Wants to hear about guns being fired, people sent to the emergency room. Nobody wants that. So we just want to make sure the events continue the direction they've been heading.
And I think to memory, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but to memory, I've been here, three years or something like that. All the events have been fantastic in that time. Like, no big issues.
Yeah, we've really, as Lieutenant said, they have been great recently. And not every year was we didn't have guns fired every year, but there were. It did happen. There were a lot of times when things were borderline getting out of control. And so we've really worked hard with the owners of the establishments, and they've responded really, really well and understood. And they want to be great community partners as well. They understood how things were starting to evolve, and really worked hard with them and to encourage them to, really try to make this an event everybody could be proud of. And they've done a good job of that. We've had these events that are happening now, and for the most part, and we'll knock on wood, they've gone great in recent years, and we want to continue that upward trend. That's our goal. Is let's keep it on this trajectory, and not let it dissolve or devolve into something that we're not proud of.
Something that when I suit up to go to work for the police department, I'm not thinking it's going to be a long night. It's going to be a long night.
It used to be Sunday morning at 6 a.m. of rodeo weekend. We were like, oh, great, only 364 more days before the next one. It was not a fun weekend for the members of the Sheridan Police Department. I'll just be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And that candor is appreciated because now we can actually look back on those times. And first, if we admit that, it wasn't that good, we can, fix what those problems were. We can identify what the problems were to prevent them in the future. And we can acknowledge the fact that lately they've been fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that a lot of work has gone into making these events very family friendly. And I think everyone in the community benefits when the entire family shows up.
Yeah, and it's just like we tell the bar owners, if you have issues with fights, we always said, like the lieutenant said earlier, we want to stop this fight before it happens. So if it becomes an argument, call us. Let us mediate. Let us get involved. Let us make the problem go away or attempt to. Nobody wants to go to a bar where there's a fight left and right, and they could be dragged into the middle of it. Nobody wants to go to an event where it's a total chaos, right? So it's actually it improves the ability for these event holders to run a better event and to, be more successful.
Absolutely.
And so that's our end goal. It's not to put our thumb down on anybody. It's not to stop people from having events. It's like we're trying to help each one of these event holders have a very successful event for everyone's benefit, them included.
And those are the events that grow, and those are the events that when someone looks at it year after year after year, they can say, yep, this one's always great for the community. Sign off. Let's get that moving.
Yeah, and it's definitely, I've seen the event holders, it's been more event focused, meaning there's alcohol there, but people are there for the event, for the band, for this. Where in years past, I've seen, we called them events, but they were there for the alcohol.
We showed up to drink.
Yes, exactly. So when it's event focused, they go a lot smoother.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for taking so much time with me. I've run out of time. Thank you for coming in, and you and your team be safe, Chief.
Thanks, Floyd.
LT, it's always a pleasure.
Twice.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk to the mayor of Buffalo, Shane Schrader. This is Public Pulse on 930 KROE, 103.9 FM. Sheridan.
When the unexpected happens, you may wonder what's next. Champion Funeral Home can help you through this phase of life. They provide support and personal services while helping you create a meaningful tribute to your loved one. Champion Funeral Home has been locally owned and operated since 1911, providing compassion and care to Sheridan and Johnson County. Visit Champion Funeral Home at championfh.com or call 674-6329.
First Federal Bank and Trust would like to recognize this week's winner of $1,000 cash and a $1,000 marketing donation match from Sheridan Media. As part of their community commitment, LifeLink of Sheridan County is receiving these funds per random drawing.
Could your organization be next? We're giving $1,000 to a qualified nonprofit organization every week. Visit our website, efirstfederal.bank, for details. First Federal Bank and Trust and Sheridan Media present Community Commitment. Member FDIC.
What is your business worth? Have you considered buying or selling a business? Our certified valuation professionals at Harker Mellinger can help you determine the proper values in gifting, estate planning, and the purchase or sale of your business. This is Chance Harris. Harker Mellinger has been providing professional valuation services for Sheridan area businesses since 1995. Schedule an appointment today to discuss how a business valuation can work for you. Harker Mellinger, 672-0785.
Shan Foster with the Country Pet Inn talks about dog training and behavioral issues that dog owners may be experiencing.
If the dog's not listening to you consistently and with distractions, it's not trained. And most people say, well, my dog's trained. It can sit, it downs, it comes when I call it. Well, what about when Joe Squirrel runs by? What about when that semi comes by honking its horn? Well, those are the things that I train for in real life. Most of the time, it's all through basic obedience. Now, by doing that, you take care of a lot of the behavioral issues, shyness issues, aggression issues, possession issues. When you put that dog in that mode or the dog understands its role, a lot of those things go away. Whether your dog has obedience issues where it doesn't listen to you or come to you when you call it, stealing food from the table, excessive barking, aggression issues, you name it, we'll work together to solve it. I help people understand their dog. I'm very fond of that. If you want to get a hold of me, go to countrypetin.com or call 674-8582.
Good morning and welcome back to Public Pulse, proudly brought to you by our friends out there at First Federal Bank and Trust. I'm Floyd Whiting. For my second guest this morning, I am joined by the Mayor of Buffalo, Mr. Shane Schrader. Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, my friend Floyd. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. The weather's starting to improve. I know we might get a little bit of a skiff tonight, but I'm hoping it's not too bad.
Nah, it's never too bad, right?
Stay positive.
We might be tired of it, but it's never too bad.
Now, sir, one thing that I did want to talk to you about, YDOT's looking to begin the big Sheridan Main Street project sometime early next month. During each phase, the city's going to replace and update infrastructure under that roadway. But Buffalo is also going to undergo a large resurfacing project on its main street. When is that scheduled to begin, sir?
That's scheduled in 2024, and, Floyd, that'll go from interstate to interstate. So that's a pretty big chunk of ground to cover.
Oh, wow. So that's going to take, that's a huge, huge amount of roadway.
All the way through town, north to south.
Now, does Buffalo plan on doing anything in conjunction with that project, such as replacing or updating any utilities?
Oh, absolutely. For quite some time now, I'd say probably close to a year, we've been sending out notices and, opportunities to business owners along that route. And, actually anybody that lives along that route from the I-90 exit to the I-25 exit, out by the high school, from out by the airport to out by the high school, it's quite a chunk. And, looking at replacing infrastructure underneath and storm drains and all the fun stuff that goes with it.
So Les Hook and his team are already coming up with plans, or do they have something that they've brought to you in the council that they said, you know what, we definitely want to make sure that this one gets done?
Oh, absolutely. There's some drainage, up on the north part of Maine, and just the water and sewer connects with businesses and residential along that area. So, between Public Works and City Planning and Zoning and the Building Inspector's Office, there's been a little flurry of activity. And, it goes into all sorts of things that you don't even realize when these projects first come up. And, I know Mayor Bridger's probably working through some of the same stuff with his council is, trees and park benches and, lighting and all the fun stuff that goes along with it has to be looked at as well.
Absolutely. That is something that we don't tend to think about when we're thinking about resurfacing a street, but you're right. Everything that goes with that street is kind of a big photo, off to the side. What's framing the road itself? Now,
exactly.
With the amount of road there in Buffalo that has to be done, and I didn't realize it was going to be from freeway to freeway. That is a staggering amount of roadway. Will this be done in sections like what they're going to do here in Buffalo, where they'll take, one section at a time? That way they're not interrupting too many businesses, or their interruption is as reduced, as mitigated as much as they possibly can. Will yours be done in such a phase manner?
That is the plan at this point, but we know, what's the old saying, the best laid plans of mice and men.
Yeah.
But that's the plan, and I know that, in meetings and stuff that have been had with the good folks at YDOT, they are working diligently to make sure that there's as least amount of impact on residents and businesses along that stretch as possible. They're very considerate of it, but the work still has to be done. So is it going to make everybody happy? Unfortunately not, but I think the end final product's going to be amazing.
Now, what kind of preparation work is Buffalo jumping on right now to ready themselves for this big project?
Well, this year, 2023, we're going to be doing the alleys project. So the alleys down in the downtown corridor are all going to get redone behind the main business districts so that there's as much access as possible for deliveries and customers and just people getting in to access those businesses.
Now, some of those alleys are gravel. Will they be paved or concreted in any way, or are we going to keep them gravel and just kind of give them a bit of a facelift?
The current plan right now is, went to bid already, and we're just waiting for the frost to go out so the work can start, is they'll all be concrete alleys through the business district downtown, which will be a great improvement for everybody. We have a couple of banks that utilize those, for their drive-through and, deliveries and customers that are able to access the back door. So it's going to be a huge improvement in some of those areas.
It absolutely is. That is a heck of an improvement. Buffalo's downtown isn't humongous, but that is going to take a while. What's the timeline look on that? What are they telling you?
Well, it's laying concrete and it's an alley, so as soon as the frost goes out, they'll be able to start and should be done by this fall. So,
well, that's going to improve a lot of the travel throughout the town or the city. Now, have business owners voiced their concerns to you and the council, sir? Have they met up with you guys and let you know what they're thinking about?
Oh, yeah. And, there'll be more as the deadline approaches to get this project started on Main Street. Some are excited, some aren't. And I get that. It's going to interrupt their business, and that's their livelihood. But, it's a YDOT project, and, it's arguing with the Golden Dome down in Cheyenne sometimes is quite interesting. But, all their concerns are legitimate, and, we take those and we go back and sit down and try and figure out another avenue or another way of doing it.
So to try and alleviate those concerns as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully the actual downtown district where the main businesses are, when they get to that section, it's quick and painless.
Speaking of streets, sir, with spring comes potholes. I've spoke with Sheridan about it. When does Public Works Director Les Hook like to begin his battle plan against the potholes of spring?
Well, it's weather dependent. We're looking at another little skiff coming in again. I know that's the topic of discussion with him and his troops already. And, you kind of drive around and, it's been an icy year down here. So just the other day I saw them, they were out cutting more ice to get more water drainage off to create less potholes. So it's interesting. So as soon as they can get out there, I know they're gearing up to start working on them.
It is a constant battle, to try and keep those streets in the condition that they're drivable. And I do realize, potholes are inevitable. They are a sign of the weather more than anything else.
Potholes are the one government guarantee and one promise that you can guarantee is going to happen for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
We promise there's going to be potholes every year.
Now, sir, I know that you've recently had your 1% discussions. Have you have the 1% meetings gone very well so far this year?
Well, we haven't started the 1% meetings yet. So between the city and the county, we've both allocated those funds out. And, good news, I guess, for those agencies are, the city, we stuck to our 15% that goes back out to these agencies, which was approximately, off the top of my head, about $45,000 more this year than last year. But we've gotten the applications in. both the city and the county, I do believe. I can't speak for the county fully, but I know that the city, we've gotten our applications in, and we had some people retire off of that 1% committee, so I'll be appointing a couple of people at the next council meeting to replace those folks, and they'll sit down and they'll start going through the applications and meeting with those groups and then sending the recommendation back to the council.
Now, usually, what do you look for in someone to sit on a 1% committee?
Well, what I look for is somebody that is going to be fair-minded, open-minded, and to be able to walk in and be able to make a fair decision on those functions, and just look at it from that fair and open-minded standpoint, and see what best benefits the city for the amount of dollars that are allocated to them. It's a tough board to be on, and I truly applaud those people that are willing to sit there and make those decisions and recommendations and pass them up to the council, because it's tough. Human nature, I think, would say everybody should get what they want, but unfortunately there's just not the dollars, so they're the group that has to sit down and figure it out, so that's why they have to be fair and open-minded towards it.
And I think everybody who has ever sat on any kind of committee, or even those who try to budget for their home, understand that stretching a dollar is a challenge. And sometimes having to look at somebody who has come to ask you for money and having to tell them, no, we can't do it this year, is equally as hard. That's pretty tough.
And Floyd, it's nice to get a group of people that, as the council, we kind of know what groups are going to be asking for the dollars, because they talk to you all year long about it. And it's nice to have that group that really isn't vested in one group or the other.
Yeah.
That don't have a connection to one group or the other, so they can kind of walk in and not be biased towards something.
Yeah.
And look at it fairly and evenly across the board.
And even then, as you said before, human nature, it's so tough to sit down there and have to decide who gets what. That's always a tough decision. Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you so much for taking time with us today. It's always a pleasure talking with you, sir.
Have a great one.
You as well. All right, you've been listening.
Don't feed the turkeys.
Yes, don't feed those turkeys. I got them in my yard. You've been listening to Public Pulse at 930 KROE and 103.9 FM. Sheridan.
First Federal Bank and Trust would like to recognize this week's winner of $1,000 cash and a $1,000 marketing donation match from Sheridan Media. As part of their community commitment, Lifelink of Sheridan County is receiving these funds per random drawing.
Could your organization be next? We're giving $1,000 to a qualified nonprofit organization every week. Visit our website, efirstfederal.bank, for details. First